Hello everyone, Nado-Kun speaking. Today, I'll be sharing details about a fresh fantasy anime titled Vermilion Gold. The narrative commences at the Ortegia Royal Academy of Magic. We encounter a young man called Alto Goldfield. He learns that he didn't pass his summoning examination and discovers that unless he can establish a bond with a familiar before tomorrow, he'll need to repeat his grade and redo the entire academic year. Alto reconnects with his longtime companion Lilia Cutelfet. She's astonished to discover that Alto might repeat a year even though he achieved flawless marks in all his other subjects. Alto informs her that he still has time until tomorrow and plans to attempt once more. He goes to the library seeking assistance. A tome tumbles from the bookshelf and strikes his head. Much to his amazement, it's an ancient summoning manual. He brings the book to his residence and performs the ceremony described within. The summoning incantation becomes active and Alto provides his blood. The ritual succeeds and an unclothed demon maiden named Vermel appears. They establish a pact and Vermel kisses him to absorb his magical energy. She tries to entice him, but he declines and insists she wear clothing. Following this, Alto questions why a demon would agree to be his familiar, since the demons mentioned in their historical studies have consistently harmed humans. She explains that she was imprisoned within the tome and will serve him in appreciation for her liberation. The following morning, Alto introduces Vermel to his instructor as his summoned creature. She hides her horns and tail to appear human. Initially, the teacher doubts Vermel is Alto's familiar since there are no documented cases of humans serving as familiars. However, Vermel displays her familiar mark and the teacher must acknowledge her and allow Alto to pass. Lilia becomes envious of Vermel while observing them from afar. During lessons, Vermel sits on Alto's lap displaying her fondness. The instructor mentions that such conduct is inappropriate, which pleases Lilia, but Vermel notes that numerous students have their familiars beside them and references the Academy's principle of coexisting with one's familiar. The teacher becomes speechless and Lilia struggles to accept this situation. Following class, Lilia approaches Alto. She dislikes Vermel and proposes a combat challenge. Should she emerge victorious, Vermel must distance herself from Alto, but if Alto succeeds, she'll follow one of his orders. They proceed to an elevated platform and their battle is transmitted to all other pupils. Lilia calls forth her familiar, Sylphid, an elite wind spirit, which surprises Vermel. Lilia merges her wind magic with her familiar and launches a devastating assault at Alto. Vermel positions herself before Alto and absorbs the attack directly. When the smoke dissipates, Vermel remains completely unharmed. Vermel strikes back using magic that makes Lilia become extremely aroused, forcing her to surrender. Since Alto was victorious, he orders Lilia to befriend Vermel. Later, Vermel informs Alto that Lilia has romantic feelings for him, but he remains skeptical. She kisses him to restore her mana and explains she must do so or she'll vanish. She attempts to seduce him again, mentioning there are more efficient methods to replenish her magical energy, but he halts her and states that kissing is sufficient. The next morning, everyone appears to be watching them as they walk to the academy. Alto instructs Vermel to remain inconspicuous so they won't attract notice. Suddenly, a dragon charges down the pathway, but Vermel halts it with a simple gesture, launching it toward the distant horizon. Alto observes that everyone is staring at Vermel and reprimands her for creating a spectacle. The headmaster greets the students to their sophomore year and Alto participates in his different courses. Lilia remains jealous of how Vermel stays close to Alto. After classes, Lilia joins Alto and Vermel on their walk home so she can monitor them. They encounter two students, the dragon's owner that Vermel defeated and his older sibling Rex. They've come to seek revenge against Vermel, but while they're occupied, Alto sneaks behind them and confines them in a crystal cage. Rex calls his familiar and escapes. Rex is a fifth-year pupil and summons a dinosaur. Rex directs his familiar to strike, but Vermel enhances Alto's mana, enabling him to release a much more powerful crystal magic assault and overcome Rex. Upon returning home, Vermel inquires about Alto's life aspirations. She offers to make him wealthy, but he tells her he desires to become an exceptional mage. He clarifies that in their world there are 4 mage classifications: apprentice, bronze, silver, and gold, but he aims to surpass these to achieve platinum rank. Vermel supports his ambition and vows to assist him in reaching it. The next day, they and Lilia encounter their friends Marx and Cheryl. Marx comes from aristocracy and is impressed that Alto defeated a fifth-year student, viewing him as his competitor. Their instructor arrives and informs them the headmaster wishes to see them. The headmaster announces that one of them will become the student representative. To determine the choice, he presents them with a special challenge. Whoever can obtain a fairy flower from the woodland will become the class representative. Marx summons his familiar, a beetle called Franchios, and hurries away. Marx faces an attack from a carnivorous cypress plant and Cheryl remains to assist him. The others proceed searching for the flower and spot it atop a mountain. Nevertheless, the entrance is protected by a slumbering Cerberus. Lilia possesses an invisibility elixir and intends to use it to slip past the Cerberus. Alto worries that the Cerberus could still detect her scent, but Lilia mentions it has a cold, so she should manage to pass. She consumes the potion and becomes invisible. Nevertheless, her garments remain visible. Lilia becomes anxious about undressing before Alto, but has no alternative. As Lilia nears the Cerberus, Alto recalls that it's a competition. Vermel tells him she can easily vanquish the Cerberus, but approaches Alto for additional mana. Lilia attempts to sneak past the Cerberus, but not all heads are ill, and she gets spotted. Alto creates a distraction for the Cerberus, instructing Lilia to retrieve the flower. As the Cerberus rushes toward Alto, Vermel emerges from overhead and releases her demonic abilities. A massive explosion occurs, and Lilia manages to grasp the flower. She returns the flower to the others below. She concedes defeat and offers to present it to Alto, but her invisibility fades, and she becomes embarrassed and drops the flower. It gets carried away and lands in Cheryl's possession. She claims the position, and the others celebrate with her. While heading to the academy, Vermel delights in tasting a crepe for the first time. Having been imprisoned for centuries, she never experienced contemporary cuisine. The students gaze upward as a squadron of dragons soars overhead. All pupils admire the commander of the Dragon Riders, Chris. Vermel asks Alto about their identity, and he explains they are the Dragon Riders, the same organization that Rex is part of. At the academy, they reunite with Marx, Cheryl, and Lilia. Marx describes how remarkable Chris truly is. Besides leading the Dragon Riders, she serves as an official on the student council and ranks among the academy's 7 gold-level students. Alto is amazed she's already achieved gold rank as a student. He wishes he could resemble the student council president, who is reportedly near platinum level. Vermel tells him it's achievable while embracing him tightly. Lilia quickly separates her, and the two dispute over Alto as always. After lessons, Lilia expresses her annoyance about Vermel to Cheryl in a dressing room. She questions whether Vermel is truly human, recalling how she defeated the Cerberus with one strike, something even a gold-ranked mage couldn't accomplish. Lilia suspects Vermel and pledges to reveal her true nature. Cheryl realizes that Lilia must genuinely care for Alto, but this makes her panic and become flustered. Cheryl urges her to reveal her feelings to Alto. Meanwhile, in the male-changing area, Vermel creates a commotion, following Alto inside while all the boys are undressing. Alto feels embarrassed, and Lilia envies that Vermel witnessed Alto changing. Alto tells them they must remain unnoticed to avoid problems with the student council. Vermel tells him she'll simply defeat them all and Alto will achieve gold rank quickly. As they proceed, the student council appears before them. The group quickly moves aside. As they pass, Chris stares at Vermel, questioning her identity. Later, Vermel enters Alto's shower and tries to seduce him again. Rex receives a beating from Chris when she discovers he lost to Alto. She feels ashamed for him to belong to the Dragon Riders since his familiar is merely a dinosaur rather than a dragon. She continues attacking him and removes him from the Dragon Riders. Alto learns Rex was hospitalized and goes to visit him. Rex's sibling blames Alto for causing Rex's expulsion from the Dragon Riders. Alto understands what occurred. Shortly after, Alto ascends to the dueling platform with Vermel. At the summit, they confront Chris. Chris offers Alto an opportunity to withdraw from the duel, but they remain determined to battle. Chris calls her familiar as her dragon materializes. Alto calls to Vermel and she amplifies his mana. As Lilia watches in terror, Alto launches his crystal assault, impressing Chris, but she manages to halt it with a single magical blast. She attacks again and Vermel must block the strike. As the flames subside, Vermel appears unharmed but has sustained some injury. Chris proceeds with a rapid succession of fireballs. Vermel deflects all the attacks and descends to the ground. Alto tries to counter with his crystals, but Chris destroys them all. Chris admires Alto's ability, but is more impressed with how Vermel can withstand her attacks directly. Vermel grants Alto even more of her power, enabling him to launch an enormous barrage of crystals at Chris. The attack connects and creates a huge explosion. Alto feels relieved it's finished, but Chris emerges, mounted on her dragon. She declares that dragons are supreme beings and all others are lesser. She rains fireballs from above at them, while Vermel continues protecting Alto and tells him to gather his mana. Determined to prove her mistaken, Vermel supercharges Alto again, and he releases a massive crystal attack.